Hello, dear people, big and small. This is FayeTv. This time from a little bit of an unusual surrounding because I still have to paint a new background. Today, I want to talk about the new version of the Beauty and the Beast film, and I want to test this new camera. Because this film received so many reviews on the internet that it was anti-feminist and whatever, so I had the feeling of knowing the film by heart before I had even seen it. So, well, now I saw it, partly because I have loved clocks ever since I was a kid, and I always thought clocks had a face and a soul, so I'm a big Cogsworth fan. And actually, I didn't think this film was anti feminist. As the person who went to the cinema with me said, well, what would you like to change in a more feminist way? This is just a story, this is just the old fairy tale. And the small changes that have been taken to film that with real people were actually really lovely because I've seen Belle in this movie really as a person who thinks in solutions. Le Fou really as the conscience of Gaston. Like when he says we have to kill those people, Le Fou goes like, hello, do we really have to kill those people? Like in several incidents. And the Beast is much more human than in the movie. Like he goes like, oh, when Belle reads something to him that he thinks of as all too womanly. So I actually really liked that. I mean, this is not one of the films that I'm going to watch 2, 4, 6 times. But it was good to see it once. And actually, since it is always winter around this castle, while it's spring or summer in the surroundings, I was reminded of how I used freezing and ice often as a symbol of depression and general overpowerment. So, what if the fairy tale is a symbol of being overpowered, being depressed? So let's say the Beast is caught in his depressions. I found it really interesting that while he was still in human shape, people painted a mask on him. He had to keep a public image. He had to host extensive celebrations to show his power. But like as a beast, he became more human. And did I mention I like big hairy guys who dare to have emotions? There was the sentence in the movie, my servants tend to laugh a lot, but when I enter the room, the laughing stops. So, what if this guy is just a person depressed in his own over capitalism, depressed in his own over efficiency of his court? What if all his servants are really just machines and then he is so overly efficient and so overly rich that he starts talking to his machines? My personal feminist change to that movie would be giving it a sequel. What happens if the beast becomes depressed again when there are already children in the picture? What will Belle do to communicate with him? This is really hard to say because I have a lot of friends with mental conditions in the widest sense, and sometimes it is really hard to communicate, and I've learned it is really hard to show people their limits, but it's necessary. And well, first we're talking about setting limits. I wonder why Cogsworth is crying in the end. I want to be a clock again. I want to be a clock again, because obviously he didn't want to be an antique. He didn't want to be trash for the flea market. But now that this woman is nudging up to him all the time, he wants to be that again because, well, maybe it's comfy to him to be an antique. I actually also found the scenes interesting where, as a clock, he suddenly always went ding dong and said he couldn't speak anymore, was literally freezing in his movements. And that's what I think also sometimes goes for the families of people with mental conditions. They freeze in their lives, they can't speak up, they don't know what to do anymore. So, but sometimes, yeah, it's also comfy to be something that's not your old normal self. And but could not the person Cogsworth show his limits to the woman? Couldn't he say, no, we've been caught in this castle for so and so many years, now we're learning to communicate, please and thanks, and you stop touching me when I don't want it, thank you. There was actually also another clock in this movie that I found interesting, which was this clock in the village, because it showed that the people were always like synchronized up and awake at 8 o'clock in the morning on the dot. And this village functioned like a machine. So, what if Belle wanted to know how the machinery in this village functioned, because she was kind of outside the system? I think there are a lot of small details in the film that you could give a lot of thought. And even though the picture quality of this here might be trash, I hope you like this. Thinking about the small things, and who knows, maybe someone will make a sequel where people get through the courses of life together, work on them, and see them as a challenge. Bye bye.